Minister, I want to welcome you to the House, and indeed I want to join with colleagues in congratulating yourself, your predecessor and your department officials. Without doubt, you have taken on a mammoth task and performed above and beyond. It's amazing when you called out the figures there. Figures tend to baffle people and we tend to switch off when we hear them, but today I have to say you delivered them well, and it gives us some idea of the mammoth task that you've undertaken. So I wish you well for the most part as you go forward. There is one slight issue for me in the social welfare bill, and I hope to bring forward an amendment which I hope you will consider, and that's the issue of Class K PRSI, Minister. Minister, the social welfare or social insurance system operates through social insurance fund, and contributions are paid into the fund to finance a range of contributory social insurance benefits, pensions and other payments. There's also a provision for the Exchequer to subvent the fund if expenditure exceeds income. Since 1979, the term pay-related social insurance has been used to describe the social insurance. Within your department, 5 social insurance schemes fall into 3 categories: contributory social insurance schemes, non-contributory or means-tested schemes, and universal childcare benefits. Social assistance arrangements are on a means-tested basis and do not form a part of the social insurance fund. The child benefit payment also does not form part of the social insurance fund. Thus, the focus of which I wish to address today is solely on contributory social insurance schemes, and Class K in particular. When it comes to Class K PRSI, the only people that are affected by this are members of the Oireachtas and public office holders. We've already had a situation where we've had to go to the courts on Class K for county, city and county councillors. Thankfully, it didn't result in a court case. What it resulted in was the government moving to change county councillors onto Class S PRSI. When we talk about Class K PRSI, for most people in this House, it means nothing one way or the other. We have a good job, we're well looked after while we're here, we have a good salary. But not everybody will be here for the full 20 years in order to acquire a pension. Not everybody will be here after serving one term. And it's the ones that are not here, the ones who lost their seats in the last election, that I am most concerned about. We're in the middle of a pandemic, and that's for sure. Members of the Oireachtas lost their Dáil and Seanad seats in last February and last April. And having lost their seats, they found that they had no social insurance to fall back on. They had no welfare entitlements other than entitlements under the means-tested allowance system. It is pretty horrendous to think that after 4 years' service to the state, one has nothing to show for it and one has nothing to gain from it. And it's not just the individual members of this House that lose out. It is their families. It is the long-term impact that the Class K PRSI has inflicted upon those of us who serve our state through the Oireachtas, through the judiciary or various other public office holders. For at the end of your period of time, if you only serve one term in the Oireachtas, for example, when you leave here, not only do you have you damaged your social protection record with respect to entitlement to payments, you have also damaged your entitlement to long-term payments, such as the contributory old age pension, maternity entitlements, entitlements to various benefits of optical or dental benefits. And this simply is something that was not examined properly back in 2011. And indeed, Leo Varadkar raised the question in 2011 when he was he was Deputy Leo Varadkar at that stage, and he asked about Class K, what does it give us? Absolutely nothing, right? There are no benefits from it, yet we are paying exactly the same amount of our income as somebody on Class S or Class A. And that's simply wrong in every sense of the word. Deputy Sandra McGillen, she asked a similar question of the then Taoiseach and Minister for Social Protection, Joan Burton. And Joan Burton's response was that there is job seekers allowance. Now, there may be job seekers allowance, but you, Minister, as the Minister for Social Protection, and I know that you're very much up to speed on this, and I know that you're concerned about it. If you move on to a job seekers allowance, it does nothing to the damaged record you leave behind. It does nothing to the loss of income that your family is suffering as a result of it. You must remember, public office holders are well paid, but when you lose your seat, you have nothing. And it is really, really depressing to speak to some former members of this House and to see how desperately impacted they have been as a result of COVID-19, because they're not even able to go and look for a job now. So what I'm saying, Minister, is, and I don't want to impede the passage of your bill, I want to support you in every way I can, because there are hundreds of thousands of people depending on this bill and depending on the way that it's driven through the House. And you don't really need to be harassed or harangued over a very small number of people. And it is a tiny number of people in the grand scheme of things that we're talking about. I do not believe that any member of this House, or indeed any public office holder, should not make a contribution to the social insurance scheme. We should. Quite rightly we should. And for those who are unfortunate enough to lose a seat after one term here, they should be able to fall back on the benefits they're entitled to, but more importantly, their social welfare record must not be damaged. That is the most important thing of all. I think there's a discussion to be had here in the House with respect to how we manage the pension entitlements, for example, of members who have served. Because you cannot really have a situation where somebody leaves the Oireachtas on a full Oireachtas pension and has also an entitlement to a contributory old age pension. It would be a bit of an anathema to those who are on much lower incomes and who depend solely on the contributory old age pension. So I think there's a discussion to be had around that. But I do think that we need to do something straight away for those who were unfortunate enough in February and in April to lose their seats. It was really, really distressing to think of people who held a position of high esteem in the nation are suddenly unemployed but not entitled to any payments. I do believe you care about this, and perhaps we can work on it without forcing an amendment to be brought through the House. I'm willing to sit and discuss it with you. I know you've an interest in it yourself and that you do want to ensure that everybody is treated equally in this country. So from that point of view, that is my sole issue. The other things, I compliment you on everything you've brought through, especially for the islands. I spent a lot of my youth visiting the islands with my father. So I do compliment you on that. Thank you very much indeed, Oireachtas.